black.
Yeah. Well, you're the exception. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Kelvin Koh. I'm one of the co-founders of Spartan Group, which is an advisory and investment firm. It's focused on crypto and Web3. And we have had the benefit of operating in the space for about 5 years and investing in some of the most iconic projects and companies in the space. I'm honored today to have with me some of the pioneers and icons sort of in the gaming space that have helped spearhead Web3 gaming. And we're here to sort of talk to you about everything that's going on in this space. So with that, happy to let the founders introduce themselves and tell us what they're working on.
Sure. So I'm Jihoz. I'm a co-founder of Sky Mavis. We're the inventors of Axie Infinity. Axie was created to be this nostalgic, accessible, fun portal into the world of Web3 and crypto. There are 2.6 million unique wallets that own Axies. Axie is the #1 NFT project of all time by volume at $4.2 billion. Yeah, we have players in every single country in the world except for North Korea. And yeah, super excited to be here.
Yeah. Thanks, you.
Awesome. My name is Kieran Warwick. I'm one of the co-founders of Illuvium. We're a little bit different in that we're trying to build the first AAA title on the blockchain. And so our game is very similar to Pokemon in one side of it, in the open world exploration and collectible side. There's about 185 different unique 3D collectibles to catch. And the second side of it is an auto battler. So we looked at Pokemon's battle mechanics and we liked it, but we thought we could make it a little bit more complex, a little bit more esports-like. And so we decided to introduce auto battles for the battling mechanics. And yeah, you've got this super cool open world that you go into and you collect these unique monsters, and then you can either choose to sell them or you can choose to battle them in the arenas. Yeah.
Awesome. First off, what an incredible panel. Like, we've got some of the biggest gaming founders in crypto here, so that's just really cool to be on stage with you guys. I'm Robbie Ferguson. I'm the co-founder of Immutable. We are a zero-knowledge rollup powered Ethereum layer 2, and we focus on scaling NFTs and games. And our mission is how can we bring the next billion users to Web3 through gaming, which I have very high conviction will be the main funnel by which we go mainstream the fastest. A bit about what we're up to. We're powering Illuvium. I think these guys are going to be absolutely massive. I'm literally currently addicted to the beta, so there's probably going to be a correlation. We are joking about how the IMX price is going to be negatively correlated with the same time I got access to the beta.
I did warn you.
Yeah. And we recently raised a couple of $100 million from Temasek, from Tencent, and our mission is really, how can we make incredibly mainstream, secure, and scalable games for the next billion players coming onto Web3?
Sarah?
I'll go last then.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah, otherwise known as Sarah Buxton. I have the privilege of working at Gala. Gala Games, you might know. Soon you're going to get to know a few other elements of Gala as well as we move into entertainment. Gala Games was founded by Eric Schirmeyer, previously founder of Zynga, before that MySpace. And I could quote an awful lot, but I think the best and biggest number I want to give you is last year we gave out in distribution rewards to our ecosystem and community $2.2 billion. Yeah, we did. And so we have 28, that's a 2 and an 8, games coming to our platform. They're already in flight. We've invested $400 million this year so far in games. So to say we're kind of all in on this new world is an understatement. And of those 28 games, most of them are either double or triple A. So we work with some of the biggest and best titles in the world. We've got some of the best team in the world. And we've actually got over 70 females in our organization too, which is pretty cool. Yeah, thus the pink dress, right?
That's awesome. So talking about sort of bringing the next sort of billion people into Web3 gaming, I know there are lots of exciting things that are coming into space, AAA games, more NFTs, more incentivization, hopefully. But obviously, the crypto market's been under quite a bit of pressure recently, and obviously as crypto prices fall, the crypto economics associated with some of these play-to-earn games sort of become a little bit more challenging. So how are you guys sort of dealing with that? And what are your strategies to bring the next billion people into the space?
The key to weathering a bear market is to continue to ship product, right? And what we're seeing with the first wave of adoption around play and earn is, right, you have these financial incentives to play the game. Mm-hmm. And that's great for solving the cold start problem, building up a brand, building an early community, and then it's key to figure out what comes next, right? So with Axie, we're upgrading the game. We've just released early access for Origin, which introduces 3 free starter Axies so people can fall in love with the game, the universe, without making any economic decisions upfront or going through crypto onboarding. In addition, right, we are introducing this concept of vertical progression, right, where for the first time, Axies will be NFTs that can be upgraded the more you play, the more time and effort and resources, crucially, that you put into them. I also think that taking that attention and that traction and making it so that Axie becomes this platform where there are hundreds of games that you can access using your Axies, right? Think of your Axies as universal login to this entire infinite world of experiences. We have this builders program that's going on right now where we had thousands of applications from the community. We will be announcing the first cohort very, very soon. But right, this idea where there aren't just games built by Sky Mavis, there are games built by the community, games built by outside partnered game studios. So I think that's really important. And I think like focusing on the price, right? Price is a result of traction, enthusiasm, and great product.
I'm going to lean into that as well because you sort of said, keep going and get your head down and ship product. And I couldn't agree more. If you're a builder, you normally have more than a week's plan or a month's plan or even a year's plan. And so it doesn't affect us in the sense that we were built for a bear market. Our entire company is designed around that. Mm-hmm. And as a games company, which is what we're talking about here, our daily active users have gone up, not down, because they're here to play and to have fun. And our independent development studios, they've got a lot of work to do. So there's no way in hell they're taking their foot off the gas because we have a community waiting for those games. So it's horrible for people that obviously got, on the wrong side of that trade and those prices, absolutely. And that's where things like Discord and stuff is so important because that's where people hang out and we talk to each other. And if ever you come into the Gala Discord, and I'm sure these guys are exactly the same, you will find a very warm, welcoming, and helpful community around you. And I think when Web3 gets rough, that's when you dig in deeper, you keep building, and you stick together. And it's going to be okay. We'll get through it. We'll come back.
That's great.
Yeah, I think I would echo that as well. All of our projects were fortunate enough to raise considerable amounts of runway back last year. And so certainly for us, we went on a mission to raise a certain amount of money. And for us, it was close to $50 million, which is a huge amount of money to put into a single title. But that was our mission, and so for us, the price right now is quite irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all. We have, we're still putting on 15 to 20 full-time people every single month. We're certainly not stopping growing at all. And yeah, so I'm just really, really happy, and we're just super fortunate to be in that position where we do have that runway.
Right.
The final thing I'll add is that the idea of Web3 gaming is it should be decorrelated to the market. People shouldn't be trading cards inside a NFT-empowered trading card game or TFT or collectible battling game because Ethereum is at $4,000 or $1,000. It's because they want to own a card so that they can play with it in a match, so that they can trade with their friends, show off their collection. So actually, as Ethereum's traction has increased and more dApps build, we've seen beta reduce. And we've seen the fluctuations of the market have less of an impact because there are these fundamental use cases. You know, we're burning Ethereum. It's effectively a deflationary currency right now, which is incredible because of EIP 1559. And so what we're actually building towards is this world where when there's a billion traders who are trading assets because they actually want to own them with utility, that will be highly decorrelated and will reduce that beta even more. And then second, I'm excited to go by companies. I think in these kinds of markets, you get companies running out of supply, they've failed to fundraise correctly, and that allows consolidation in the market, and I think it's a really great opportunity for sort of people to grow through M&A.
You're a savage.
Great, thanks for that. So of late, we've seen obviously quite a bit of interest and buzz around move to earn, right, which is sort of a play on the whole concept of play to earn. And obviously sort of Stappen sort of embodied that, and I think we're going to see a bunch of others coming, like Genopets and Sweatcoin and a bunch of others. Obviously, that's going to take some attention away from play to earn games. Do you see them as competition, or do you see them as sort of collaborators? How do you think about move to earn? And
I mean, it depends. To be honest, there's two audiences here. There's two addressable markets that I see. There's the games or the apps or whatever you want to call it that spend some sort of energy, human energy, and you can earn. And the games that is going to disrupt are the ones where the people that are playing those games are just looking to earn, right? If you go to someone and say, hey, you're going to make $10, $15 a day in North America, they're probably not going to quit their job and go and do that. So the other addressable market is these, Koreans, North Americans, Chinese that are League of Legends players, they're, World of Warcraft players. For them, if we're building a game that's appealing to them, and all of a sudden something comes out that is another very heavily rewarded sort of idea, it's not going to have the same effect on us because the people aren't there to earn money. They're there for entertainment value. Yep. And I just don't sort of see that correlation with like the exercise apps that are coming out.
I mean, the common element there is the gamification, right? We like to compete, we like to play, we like to socialize. And surely, bearing in mind how much time we spend in front of our screens, if I earn something by getting off my ass and doing something, I'm kind of okay with that. Right. I don't think any time that anybody's got an opportunity to earn something by doing something they enjoy or doing something that's good for them, that is ever a bad thing. And so I'm really excited about the fact people can have fun and earn money. I'm excited that people will soon be able to listen to music and earn money. And I'm excited that people can watch movies one day and earn rewards and potentially money. So I think these things exist together, and I'm more excited, bearing in mind this is Web3, how those applications work with games. Like, what's that interoperability? Because that's what we're meant to be doing. We're not meant to be building walled gardens where we try and keep people in. We're meant to let people in and out to their benefit. And I think that is incredibly exciting. So I'm all for it. Like, the more the merrier. Get involved. Come into the space, and hey, if you get better abs and decent muscles from it, no worries.
Yep. Totally agree. Obviously, some of these applications themselves, I guess, are bringing newer users into the Web3 ecosystem where they're interacting with NFTs and crypto, and ultimately could become users and players of your games as well.
Exactly.
With that, I want to also sort of explore a little bit sort of the interest of some of these bigger, gaming companies, right? The likes of Epic Games, Tencent, Ubisoft. I mean, so far they seem to be watching what's going on in space. They haven't made any big moves yet. I'm just curious as to what you think is likely to happen. Are they going to come in? Are you in talks with them about collaboration opportunities?
So if you've ever read the book Seven Powers, right, the traditional game studios are basically making the same mistake that every incumbent always makes at the birth of a new industry, right? Where, okay, they're skeptical, they deride it at first, then, okay, like they signal some interest and dip their toe, but they're always too slow, right? So we've always seen whenever there's a new category of gaming arise, we have a new set of winners, right? Supercell was not right? Supercell, they made Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars, right? They're the best mobile game studio in the world. They were not a console game studio. They were not a PC game studio. So whenever you have a paradigm shift, you have a new set of winners. So I think that the trad game studios, I would love for them to come and help grow the space. I'm just skeptical that they're going to be able to move quickly enough and that there's too much overhead. And I also think that our business models disrupt their business models, and they stand to lose too many users, players from their existing products by making the full shift. Because in order to be successful in this new paradigm, you're going to have to go all in, and they're not going to do that.
I'm a little bit more skeptical. I think I do agree with you, definitely, that this is a paradigm shift, and they need to get on board, and they need to get on board fully. But I think it would be naive to think that a gaming studio that has 1,000+ people couldn't set up their own Web3 division that, to be frank, could mobilize a game with tokenomics, with governance, decentralized, in probably the space of 6 months. I think the tough thing to do is to build up a business or a organization, whether it be a DAO or a corp, to that stage. It's hyper growth in studios is a very, very hard thing to do, and I would encourage them to come in. I think we are not going to get to full mainstream adoption. I mean total mainstream adoption of crypto until we've got 5 or 6 genres out there of games which are the same as mainstream, right? Where it's not, I feel like I'm going back 10, 15 years to come across to get a few of the benefits like ownership of assets and stuff like that. I think to get that complete mainstream adoption, we just need to have the exact same playing field as we do in mainstream. And so that's why I think pushing these guys to come into this space is actually a good thing.
I agree with you, apart from the pushing bit. I'm not sure anyone can push them.
Fair enough.
I think partnership is going to be key, and I totally agree with you. We shouldn't, in a few years, and I don't think it's 5 to 10 years at all. I think it's much more accelerated than that. In a couple of years, I don't think we'll be talking about blockchain, because it's just a protocol. Right. I think we'll be talking about the specific games that we love and that we're enjoying and that we're playing with. And I think for the big guys out there already in the game space, the smartest thing they're doing is partnering and learning and getting involved and figuring out how to embrace this new world of gaming without cannibalizing all of the amazing things that they've already got. So I think we'll come to a happy medium, probably sooner rather than later.
Right.
So I also want to clarify, right? Like I think Epic Games, Blizzard, right? Those are going to be the ones that are slow to shift, but really quality, smaller studios, absolutely, right? I think they will embrace the technology, right? Like if you're an indie game studio, doing an NFT sale is like 1,000x better than the current paradigm of Kickstarter, right?
Totally.
So
and
yeah, 100%.
if you've got a game to back it up, right? So you're not just doing an NFT sale, you're actually using that to support the game that you're already going to launch. Why wouldn't you do that? And I agree. This time, probably a year ago, when I used to talk to studios, at least 60% of them would say, we're not interested, we don't believe in this, it's going to cannibalize everything. And you have the conversation with them and you say, guys, you're used to tokenomics, come on, we've been doing this for years, this is not this big a deal. And now the inbounds are absolutely insane. So that's within a period of 12 months. The attitude towards this has, I completely agree with you, gone from I'm scared and I don't like it and you're going to ruin the industry to, yeah, okay, let's have a conversation and see what your strategy is.
That's great.
So I could say as a data point, out of the top 10 gaming companies in the world by market cap today, 8 of them have active full-time strategy teams of at least 20 people or more working full-time on Web3 strategy. And that's because they can't afford not to. If this threatens the existential monetization and business model they have today, they have to know how to address it in the future. And some of these people will be late to the party, and they'll just have to pay up or die. But some of them will be much earlier. And I'm actually quite bullish on particularly Asian gaming studios where paying for power inside these games is way more common. Like in gacha-style gaming, I actually think that's where we're going to see some of the earliest traction, because you're not getting this pushback around the branding from normal gamers, because these games are far more fun, to be financialized from day one, which I think is really exciting. But then I think the second thing is we have to actually create games that are 10 times better for players. And the moment we do that, then the power shifts. It's no longer, hey, I'm Blizzard Activision, I'm Bethesda, I'm Nexon, and I'm kind of looking at this as a strategy to make sure we're staying on top of it. It's, holy shit, we have to move now because our business model is threatened. Players love this, and the next 10 most successful games in the world are all going to be built on this technology. So as soon as we can hit that inflection point, and all it takes is one hit game with 100 million players, which I agree, I think it's going to be by a mid-market studio, like 50 mil to $1 billion in valuation today. As soon as that inflection moment happens, then these strategies go from being proactive to reactive, to holy shit, we have to move today.
Got it. Thank you. So of late, we've also been seeing a lot of traditional, Web2 esports companies coming into the space, and we've invested in a few of them. Are you excited about that? And how are you planning to work with them? And what do you think they'll bring into the space?
Yeah, 100%. As I said, I think Robbie's right. These guys, they're already on top of this, and over the next 2-3 years, they're going to be throwing way more fuel on the fire, and they know what they're doing in terms of esports. They know what they're doing in terms of providing entertainment. They've been doing it for decades. Right. And so we can definitely learn, certainly ourselves in Illuvium, major part of our game is going to be esports. We want to be working with these guys and finding out, are there tournaments that we can do in tandem with them, and not so much pushing them to come into Web3, but most certainly embracing it, because I think the total goal or the common goal for every game dev should be the decentralization of gaming as a whole. I think that's our mission, and I think they can help with that.
One of the trends that NFT gaming makes possible is actually the democratization of esports, right? Where in our last season, we actually paid out the top 300,000 players on our leaderboard with actually a piece of our game, right? The Access governance token, right? So that would not be possible without smart contracts, crypto, right? So I think that esports is a huge area of opportunity for NFT gaming, and yeah, the top esports teams in the world are all really interested, and they want to get involved, and super bullish on them coming into the space and helping drive adoption of these games, and also helping to make the games better, right? Because these people understand what good, great games are and can give super helpful advice on how to build a game that's actually really well suited for esports.
We have an esports tournament going on right now, actually. So we have a game called Spider Tanks. I'm rubbish at it, but that's not the point. And so, yeah, I think esports is definitely part of our strategy. I'm just delighted every week when we give out awards and rewards to the community members in those teams. I think you're heading in the right direction. And esports is an area of gaming that I think it has grown exponentially already, but I think it will continue to, because it's becoming more and more acceptable as well. It's now something that people enjoy. The viewers, the numbers are going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And I think you start adding an element of earning into that, you bring crypto into that, it gets incredibly exciting and lucrative for people to come and join in. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you live. And that's one thing that's wonderful about gaming, right? Everybody can be a gamer. As long as you've got an internet connection, you've got a chance.
Esports is the original play and earn, right? So they understand it. It's just about how do we democratize it and broaden access to it.
Yeah.
I'm getting really bored of agreeing with everything you say. I'm just like, yeah, you said.
Sorry about that.
And what about the mainstream gamers themselves, right? Because I've obviously sensed a bit of reticence or resistance towards crypto, NFTs, and so on, right? And some of them even cite ridiculous reasons about sort of how Web3 games are environmentally polluting and so on and so forth.
That's on us though, right? We have to fix that. That's not on them.
Yeah.
If we, we're launching our own blockchain because of all the problems we are all well aware of. So your carbon footprint, it's no longer good enough to be neutral, you need to be negative, all of those things. But even from an experience point of view, if people are resisting doing it, give them a reason not to resist, make it better, prove that you're better, prove that this is an improved way of doing this. The most popular, biggest, best industry in the world has now just been supersized to the benefit of players. That's on us to prove that. It's not on them to change. We don't have to change their minds with words. We have to do it with really good games, really good benefits, and really good freaking titles that people want to play. That's it.
I completely agree, and I think I was going to say the way DeFi is going to go mainstream is when it's the back end of financial applications people use every day without knowing how it works. When they get loans on it, when you have the latest batch of Y Combinator startups all creating mainstream front ends to earning yield on stable coins. In the same way, this is the exact way we actually win over gamers, which is, I don't think it's selling them NFTs. I think it's selling them in a game where they have an amazing experience and they own a piece of equity of that game. They have the ability to buy from their favorite streamer a skin that they use to win that tournament, keep that memorabilia forever. It's about creating a game which is massively popular, which under the hood uses NFTs. And that's why, if you go to many of these websites, they don't even talk about NFTs, the technology. They talk about the value they're bringing to players, because players want this. They spend $100 billion every year on in-game items that they don't own. And Steam regularly screws them over. You have Counter-Strike Go, or op skins built on Counter-Strike Go, which was a $300 million marketplace which went bankrupt overnight because Valve decided to implement a trade lock. You can only trade an asset once per week. So people want this. They are actively getting screwed over. And the strongest market forces is where you say, hey, this is an injustice in the world and this is how we're rectifying that. So I think it's about creating an experience where people can experience this value without even knowing under the hood how it works.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I mean, and I don't even think it's NFTs. Like the word, the acronym NFT is seen in such a bad light because it previously, the past 4 or 5 years that these games have been emerging, were going to mainstream gamers and were saying, hey, stop playing Fortnite and come over and play this NFT game that is probably, 10 years regressed from where they're used to playing. And so they don't even get past the fact that there's so many benefits to having verifiable ownership of their assets, ability to sell them. It just stops playing it, I'm not going to play that game, right? And if you don't get past that hurdle, you can't get past anything else. So I think, echoing what everyone else is saying, fundamentally, you have to convince them to want to play the game first, and then naturally, over time, they're never going to go back. If you capture a Pokemon and it's yours, and you can go and sell that on a marketplace in the real world and make money off that, you're not going back to Pokemon and capturing those creatures and not being able to do anything with it. But you will if the Pokemon that you're capturing doesn't give you that psychological connection of, I love playing this game, and collecting these characters.
Yeah. And what about the enablers, right? So if I think about sort of Web2 gaming, obviously Apple sort of played a big role in some of the successful games. So what are your thoughts about sort of these enablers, so to speak, right? The big tech giants, and I know some of them have been resistant about sort of having Web3 gaming applications on their platform and so on and so forth. Do you see that changing? Do we need them at all?
You need to get over 3 words: terms of service. Michael McCarthy, who is building Mirandus at Gala, previously of Farmville 2, he talks about the reason he got into this wasn't because he wanted to build a blockchain game. That wasn't what he was doing. He wanted to build a game where people could own their stuff. And he had an experience, and he talked about a little toy truck. Mm-hmm. And he said that when he wanted to give a player this little toy truck, they said, you can't do that because it's a terms of service violation. You can't give them content like that. And that's what set him up on this journey. So I think they're going to have to, they're big enough, right? Maybe they don't have to do anything. But eventually, we're going to have to figure out how to work alongside each other. Mobile is a huge market. So yes, we're all in web, and we're going to do browser-based stuff and downloads, and we can work around it. And Epic with Fortnite are a really good example that you don't have to have your, you don't have to be shackled to this stuff. Yep. But again, going back to the other point, we can't do it with crappy games. We have to build good games that millions and millions and millions of people want to play, and then it will move, because you need that snowball, you need that tide to right. change in order for them to even want to have the conversation. Because right now, why would they? Mm-hmm.
We definitely want to have a symbiotic relationship with Google and Apple, and they want that too. They're looking at the space, they're doing their research, and they understand that this is going to happen, and they're going to have a strategy around this, right? So we're talking to them, they're very civil and engaged, and they want to be educated around it, and it's a process, right? It's just like the entire world needs to be educated around Web3, that also applies to some of these incumbents. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Hopefully, you guys are obviously a lot further ahead than us in terms of those relationships, but it's certainly something that we're already trying to foster and nurture now. But it is a little bit of an unknown for us. We don't know if Apple is going to allow us to have in-game currency that they deem is normal, and is it going to go through their app store, and how do we then factor in the 30% or even higher if they decide to put a premium on us? So I don't know, for us it's definitely uncharted territory.
Our approach is any problems that our partners or kind of customers are going through, we want to make sure we're going through as well. So we have Guild of Guardians, which is our mobile RPG, which is going to release basically exclusively on mobile. And the whole goal is how can you create a frictionless experience on iOS and Android. So if there's going to be blood on the first person through the door, then we'll be bloody. But I think it's really important to just start launching and start experimenting, because to be quite frank, you don't know where Apple's terms of service lie until they think about how this is going to affect their revenue in 5-10 years, and they change their terms of service with a day's notice. Yeah. So it's actually really important just to start shipping and see how this stuff reacts and the market actually plays out in prod.
So just to be clear, you're going to be the guinea pig?
We will.
Okay, great.
We're awesome. The canary in the coal mine.
Awesome. So I think the one thing that sort of came out very clearly throughout our conversation was the idea of creating something that's really awesome that everybody wants to play, right? And I have 2 teenage sons who obviously are very avid gamers, can't pull them off the computers most days, and I've been trying to encourage them to check out some Web3 games, right? Because I'm in the space. They've been quite resistant so far, but I'd love the day when they actually play a Web3 game and experience it for themselves. So I'm going to put you guys on a spot, right, and ask you to name a game that is not the awesome game that you're working on, and tell us why we should be playing that.
In Web3 or Web2?
In Web3.
in Web3?
It's not Fortnite. It's a Web3 game that you may have come across.
Can I cheat by talking about Illuvium? Well, look, I think this is, I think it's nearly 300 people today, been working on it for more than 18 months. Really incredible, pace of production. And games take time, right? It's why we've seen the majority of NFT volume today be in PFPs, because I can make an attractive looking PFP in a day. It takes much longer to make an effective game. But I think if there are going to be games this year which can take things to the mainstream, it is, Illuvium is right up there. And I think they're doing a bigger tournament than League of Legends is doing for TFT for one of their first matches. So do go apply to the beta and check it out.
I'm gonna cheat, just because I can, because they're not technically our games, because we're a platform, right? So there's two. One that's really fun that my son will play because he hates Web3 games mainly. He thinks they're really boring. This one he will play, and that's Spider Tanks. That's by Game Media, who we've been working with for a long time, a European development studio. And then one that's coming out incredibly soon, where we've had the demo internally, is Grit. And that's a game changer, that one. That's fun. Yeah. So go and have a look. There's the plug. Gala.games. Go and have a look, and you'll see them up on their website. And you can join the list to go and play that one too, but that'll be it soon.
That'll be awesome.
What are you playing, Jihoz? For me, I started playing this chicken game the other day. It's an influencer that I follow started posting about these chickens. He's a little bit crazy, this dude. And I started watching it, and I'm definitely a degenerate. And, little fun sort of game that grabbed me, and it's basically you just buy a chicken, you gamble on it racing, very similar to those racing chickens. They've got these special powers that they're going to implement soon. And I think I wasted about 45 minutes on that the other day.
A truly foul idea.
I'm quite reticent to name a game because that game would probably triple its user base.
Just because of your social media following?
I'll take this time to say that, right? One of the things that I'm really excited about is the Builders program, where you have community members that are actively contributing and building games on top of Axie. And I just tried out a Builders program game. I think they're going to announce their open alpha to all Axie holders quite soon. So super excited about those types of experiments.
Got it. And then I guess sort of related to Web3 gaming is obviously the whole concept of metaverses and the games that they're bringing into some of these metaverses. So obviously one important one is this the other side, right, which was launched recently, and they did the land sale and the land drop, clogged up the whole Ethereum network, and I was responsible for that as well. And for the first time ever, I paid $2,500 just to get an NFT minted. It just blew my mind, even though I've done crazier things in crypto. But have you guys sort of followed that? Were you sort of involved in that? And do you see that as sort of one of these games that are going to bring mass adoption into the space?
So we're pretty. I love the Bored Ape Yacht guys. They're brilliant, and some of their team are they're just a really, 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 in many ways, such a positive force for the industry. And you may disagree with some of the mechanics and obviously what happened with the Ethereum price and stuff, but they are really positive for the space. The celebrity endorsements they get, the vision that they've got, the games that they're building. I think when you start talking about Metaverse, where it gets interesting is how companies like theirs work with companies like ours, because that's the play. When you've got 28 games in development, when you've got these different PFP projects, when you've got you want to give your coin utility and more use than maybe just a payment method, what do? So for me, a metaverse isn't a single instance of a world where there's no interoperability, because that isn't Web3. That's against everything that Web3 is about. It's about bringing those different projects together in new and crazy, innovative ways that haven't been seen before. And I think that, you know, they've got a really good roadmap, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what they do. And you know, we'll continue talking with guys like that, because I think it's healthy for the space, for sure.
I think one of the things, we think of the metaverse as a thing that we would experience, but I actually think that the metaverse is a trend where our digital lives are beginning to have more and more impact and importance over our physical lives. And right, this is something, for example, that we see with Axie is like we've created this digital nation. We have players all across the world, and then there are meetups that start to develop in different cities. Right, there are cities in the Philippines, for example, that are kind of almost even defined by the fact that there are a lot of Axie players. Their local politicians, right? They have to have a Axie policy when they're running their campaign. So I think that is more what I think that's how we should be looking at the metaverse, right? Is basically this blurring of the lines between our digital identities and realities and our physical identities and realities. And yeah, so I think that distinction is breaking down. And yeah, like we're super excited to meet, for example, like all of the Axie community members. We just announced AxieCon, the first AxieCon in Barcelona yesterday. So you
When's that happening?
You guys are all invited. The waitlist registration is pinned on the Axie Twitter, so check it out.
So for me and other side, I think the most impressive thing, it's probably the most impressive and probably the most negative thing about NFTs right now is you can create this mechanism of bootstrapping your liquidity, and you touched on it early on. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. They have obviously a huge community, and I do truly believe that they are going to build out this AAA metaverse that they're promising. But in nowhere else in the world can you, in no other situation can you literally say you are going to do something and sell a whole bunch of NFTs, and now they're literally sitting on, you know, $250 million as a war chest to go and create this metaverse. Right? And why I say it's a little bit of a negative as well is because you've got game devs in mainstream who've been building games for decades, and they're out there trying to get, you know, $1 million or $10 million funding for their game where, you know, it's an indie studio of 15, 20 experts that are just pumping out really, really good content. And then you see over to the left, they're like, God, another 300 million has just gone to these guys that don't have anything yet. They've got a roadmap, they're gonna build it.
Right.
But tell them to speak to Gala. We've got about 600 million left to spend this year. So send them out. We'll help them out.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really, really good thing, and I think it's similar to staking. You know, that is an unbelievably good way to bootstrap a DeFi protocol in its early days. But is it, you know, sustainable over time to continuously be doing it? Probably not. You know, but the idea is, after 2-3 years, it doesn't matter. The staking program no longer is needed because your protocol is matured and you have customers. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting.
I guess this whole new paradigm, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Great. So speaking about community, because obviously that's extremely important, right? And I know some of you have built the most amazing communities, and I never sort of failed to be impressed by the thousands of people that sort of are on Twitter, you know, doing videos or taking pictures of themselves and doing creative things, you know, particularly in the world of Axie. So, and I also confess one thing, you know, as a venture investor, you know, we track all of your community statistics, like fanatics, right? So every week we will download your community statistics to see, how that's growing, because ultimately, if you look at the value of what you guys are building and the size of the community, there is very tight correlation, right? And I think that sort of partly goes to explaining the Yuga phenomena as well, right? Because they built one of the biggest communities in possibly the shortest time, and that sort of gave them all the value, right? So as you think about that, what are some of the things that you guys are doing to continue to grow the community and get them excited about what you guys are building?
We're just really present with our community. So the single most important part of my job at Gala, which is mainly herding cats, is to talk to the community. And it doesn't matter who we are in the organization, how busy we are, pretty much every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, we're in our Discord channel talking to them. And we will drop in, and when things go sideways, as any of you in Web3 will know that sometimes they do, we'll be there. We don't shy away, we don't leave it to customer service. Our customer service team are amazing, and our mods, but you will see Eric in there, you will see Jason Bitbenderbrink in there, you will see me in there, you'll see Lawtank in there, Irrelevant in there. They know all of these names because they're the people we're building it for, and unlike the old world, they're genuinely on the journey with us. As the ecosystem grows, they benefit, and so why would you not want to share stuff with them all the time? So we have the growth that we had last year, and that ability to have that distribution, and the fact we've never had to raise money, so we've done everything ourselves. We don't have any VCs that are looking at our sentiment involved in our company at all. So, and the way we've done that was very organic. This year, you're going to start to see a lot more outbound from Gala, a lot more. We've actually got a marketing team, first time, and a UA team. So we'll embrace some more of those traditional methods a little bit more to encourage more people to come in. And I think the guys touched on it earlier about it's that friction. It is tough getting particularly new people in, people like my mum. I have to write down a what and why do I need this? And can I not just put it? No, you can't do that, mum. So getting people to come in that maybe don't understand blockchain, that's going to be critical to, I think, all our growth, making it more accessible for everyone. And that's certainly something we're looking at as well.
Community is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I actually started out as an Axie community member. I wasn't originally a co-founder of the project. I found Axie. I thought they were beautiful and cute, and I bought 3, and I started asking questions around how I could help contribute. So I think community building is making sure that everyone understands that they have unique skills that they can use to help grow the size and strength of your product, right? So I think having consistent call to actions around how people can help, I think that's really key. And as you mentioned, right, basically breaking down the barriers between the core team and contributors and the community, and really creating a kind of intertwined hive mind that is pushing the growth of the project. And I also say that bear markets and market volatility are great for community building. That is actually, right, communities need to marinate over years, and the yeast, right, is actually intense market conditions.
I'd say for us, it's transparency. For those of you who don't know, my brother is a co-founder as well. He's actually called Von Leekman. He basically leaks every single dev update, art update that we have, and people feel like they're on the journey with us. They're literally building with us. They're seeing everything that we're doing, and we try to be as transparent as possible, and that, people like that.
Yeah, I really respect the founders that actually jump in the Discord and
I can't stop him from doing it, so I've tried, but he's, yeah.
I'll just add one final thing, which is, for me, community is about trust, and you're making a commitment, you're creating a relationship. So, our promise to our community is always that we will never undermine the security of anyone's assets. It's why we never wanted to even entertain a custodial protocol, because I just never wanted to have that risk for users' assets. And so when we make these commitments, we really stick by them. And I think that's essential to building an ongoing relationship where they can know, hey, shit can hit the fan, markets can go down 80%, but these core commitments that have been made by me are true. And that's how you build a reputation over time of constantly delivering for these communities.
I love that as well, because none of us are faceless. Like, we're all real people, we're here. I mean, how many of you know all the executives of a big bank in the US? How many of you know the people that are behind, the stuff that you're buying off Amazon? You don't. With these projects, you do. We're there.
Right.
Like, you can see us, you can talk to us, you can interact with us. That's the whole point. And I love the fact you came from your community. I think probably something like 40% of Gala is made up of people that also came from the community, because you guys are so educated and so sharp and so ahead. You're the people that are building Web3, not just us. Like, we're kind of all in it together, and I think that's entirely new.
Yeah.
That is better business, right?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think with that, we've run out of time. So thanks to our panelists for sharing their views and insights, and thanks to all of you for being such an engaging audience.